Welcome back, focused learners. Okay, so today on The Explainer, we're diving right into something absolutely crucial. We're talking about bridging the gap and finally mastering direct English thinking. You know the feeling, right? You've got the grammar down, your vocabulary is huge, but the exact second it's actually time to speak, your brain just totally freezes. It's literally like your brain is this high-speed supercomputer that just suddenly gets unplugged the moment you open your mouth. We're tackling what is for sure the ultimate speaking barrier that haunts pretty much every intermediate and advanced learner out there. It's that brutal gap between knowing the language on paper and actually using it in the real world. Seriously, does this hit a little close to home? You read beautifully, you understand everything you hear, you know the grammar rules inside out, but standing in front of someone? Total freeze. It's like all that knowledge is locked behind a vault and you've suddenly forgotten the passcode. It's incredibly frustrating and causes so much anxiety. But listen, I want to validate exactly what you're feeling right now, because it's so common, and more importantly, it's 100% fixable.
Okay, let's dive into this and look at the exact mechanics of why this freeze actually happens. It all boils down to this disastrous, super laggy mental process. Step 1, you have a thought, but you think it in your native language. Step 2, your brain scrambles, right, trying to find the exact English translation for every single word. Step 3, you finally put the sentence together and speak. But then, we hit Step 4, the tragic reality. By the time you've done all that mental gymnastics, the conversation has completely moved on. You literally missed your window. You're constantly playing catch-up because your mental processor is just running way too many heavy apps at once.
To really get how absurd this mental translation reflex is, imagine you're driving a car in heavy traffic. But every single time you want to turn left, you first have to pick up your phone, call a dispatcher, and literally ask for permission before turning the steering wheel. I mean, no way, right? That delay would make driving totally impossible. You'd either crash or just sit in the intersection all day. Well, that is exactly what happens when you try to translate everything in your head. It's just way too many steps for a real-time, natural conversation. So what's the actual solution here? Well, the ultimate goal isn't speaking perfectly, flawless, completely mistake-free English. Honestly, that's kind of just a myth anyway. The real goal is direct English thinking. You see, native speakers don't have this middleman living in their brains. They think a concept and they speak it almost at the exact same time. Zero translation phase. So today, we're going to walk through a really actionable step-by-step playbook straight from our source material to train your brain to bypass that native language filter completely. Let's kick things off with Phase 1, internal simplifications. Now here is the absolute biggest mistake learners make when trying to think in English. They try to translate these super complex, adult, highly sophisticated thoughts right out of the gate. Please don't do this. You'll just end up frustrating yourself. We've got to start with incredibly simple thoughts and just learn to naturally narrate our day. We literally need to strip all that complexity away so your brain can start building brand new, direct highways between a concept and an English word.
Let's actually put this into practice right now. I want you to look around your room. Seriously, do it with me. Look at the objects around you and form the absolute most basic sentences you can think of. The chair is black. I'm hungry. My phone is on the table. As you go about your day, I want you to become the narrator of your own life. When you're making dinner, literally think to yourself, I'm cutting vegetables. When you sit down to study, think, I'm reading a new lesson. Now, I know, it feels a little silly at first, but it so powerfully mimics the direct way children learn a language. They aren't translating, they're connecting their immediate physical surroundings directly to the words.
Okay, let's move to Phase 2 and see how this builds. We call this sensory rewiring. Once you're actually comfortable narrating your simple physical reality, we need to completely change how you store vocabulary. We've got to stop connecting English words to your native language and start connecting them directly to pictures, feelings, and phrases. Let's do a quick real-time visualization exercise to really prove this. When I say the word apple, what exactly pops into your mind? In the old way of doing things, you hear apple, you translate it into your native word for apple, and then your brain visualizes the red fruit. That middle step, it's costing you precious milliseconds. In the new way, we're training the brain so that hearing the English word apple immediately triggers the picture of the fruit. Bypassing that native language step dramatically improves your processing speed. From here on out, every new word you learn absolutely must be tied to an image or a feeling, never to a translation.
This brings up a really crucial point about how you actually learn your vocab. You've got to stop collecting isolated words. Native speakers don't build sentences word by word like some sort of math equation. They use chunks. Instead of learning the word depend and the word on totally separately and then trying to awkwardly glue them together in the middle of a fast-paced chat, you need to store the whole chunk, depend on, or looking forward to. When you learn phrases, your brain is storing ready-made blocks of English, and that reduces your thinking time massively. Honestly, it's exactly why someone can memorize 10,000 isolated dictionary words but still completely stutter and struggle to speak.
All right, rolling right along to phase 3, active input. This is huge. You have got to stop translating while you're listening or watching media. Be totally honest with me for a second. When you're watching an English movie, are you secretly running a translation subtitle track in your head? You've got to break that habit. If you hear the sentence, "the dog is running," don't translate it. Force your mind's eye to directly visualize a dog running. You're training your brain to absorb meaning straight from the sound. Now, fair warning, at first you're going to understand less. You'll probably feel a little lost. That is totally normal. But stick with it, and over time, your brain adapts, becomes super efficient, and starts catching the meaning without needing that safety net of your native language.
Which brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. Phase 4, daily behavioral habits. This is where we take all the theory we've just covered and turn it into actionable reality. To permanently lock in this direct thinking mindset, you have to physically produce the language, even when you're completely alone. Yep, you need to talk to yourself, and you need a structured, non-negotiable daily practice routine.
Now, I fully acknowledge this might sound kind of funny, maybe even a bit crazy if someone walks past your room, but creating these small self-conversations, it's literally a superpower. Ask yourself out loud, what should I eat today? And then go ahead and answer yourself, maybe I'll have rice and chicken. By doing this, you're giving your brain this essential, super low-pressure practice producing English. There's zero judgment, no native speaker waiting awkwardly for your response. It's just a safe little sandbox. The more you do this, the easier real conversations become, simply because the neural pathway to producing English is already warmed up and ready to go.
And this brilliantly illustrates the absolute best part of this entire framework. 5. You do not need to pack up and move to an English-speaking country. You don't need to study for 3 exhausting hours a day. You literally only need 5 minutes a day of highly focused, intentional practice to start rewiring your brain. That makes this goal incredibly achievable for absolutely anyone, no matter how crazy your schedule is.
So here's the 5-minute rule you need to start implementing today. Set a timer on your phone. For those 5 minutes, 0 translation is allowed. Absolutely 0 native language allowed in your head. If you catch yourself slipping into a translation, and you will, just gently pull your focus back. Use this time to talk out loud about your plans for the day, describe the room you're sitting in, or just discuss your goals. I promise you, based on the source material, if you stick to the strict 5-minute rule for just 30 days, you are going to experience a massive breakthrough. English words are going to start popping into your head automatically without any conscious effort at all.
If you take away just one single thing from this explainer, please let it be this. True fluency? It's not about memorizing more grammar rules, it's not about forcing a perfectly neutral accent or building a dictionary-sized vocabulary. True fluency is simply reducing the distance between your thought and your speech. The absolute fastest, most natural speakers aren't doing complex mental gymnastics. They've simply eliminated that clunky translation distance. And by starting with simple thoughts and focusing on chunks, you can absolutely eliminate it too.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with something to really reflect on regarding your own habits. Do you usually think in English, or are you still translating in your head first? Recognize exactly where you are right now, take the playbook we just walked through, and just start your 5 minutes today. I want you to master this direct connection, and I seriously can't wait to hear how it transforms your speaking confidence. Keep learning, keep practicing, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.